Welcome back to episode 9 of BD Radio. I guess we have a finish line to quarantine on the horizon. We will be coming out of it the same good value trainers that we have been. I'll be looking like an extra from the Deadliest Catch. Danny still looks normal. Welcome, Danny.
Thank you.
Today we're basically just going to be going over some considerations that we feel are important if you've been, well, everyone has, out of the gym for, I guess, a considerable amount of time, which is now 10 weeks. This is our 10th week of online training. And although you guys have been training, lots of you've noticed already, and if you haven't, there's nothing quite like, I guess, the intensity and the loads that we lift in here compared to home training. So just a couple of points that we think are important for you guys to know as we head back into the gym.
Yeah, definitely. I think the first thing that all of our clients have been saying to us, I was actually speaking to one of our clients this morning, is like the mindset. So she was saying to me, like, normally, like in the gym, the exact same workout that we programmed for her to do at home, she felt like she couldn't complete it without us being there. Like, we'd programmed 8 minutes. At 5 minutes, she felt like she was done and had nothing left in the tank compared to being in here and having a coach motivate you. She found that to be really, really difficult.
When it comes to motivation, it's certainly a lot easier when you're in here and in the group.
Oh, absolutely.
Someone's
Other people,
watching.
coaches, yeah.
Yeah, and believe you me, like lots of our clients sort of, you guys would never struggle with motivation or anything. Like, just because we're trainers doesn't mean that we find it easy to train all the time. Like, yes, we enjoy it, but all the time it's like we miss training in groups as well.
Yeah.
So yes, that part will certainly be made a lot easier, and lots of people have already been enjoying the outdoor sessions that we've been running for that reason. We've had a message this morning saying like, "Oh, hope I didn't talk too much," this and that. So, but yeah, I'm sure, and this will be deliberate on our part. Is the first week or so will be just a little bit less than we would normally program, just to ease you guys back into it. But
Larry did chat without getting into trouble.
Yeah, that's right. The Dan touched on this in regards to the mindset of, I guess, being able to complete fairly similar workouts at home compared to in here. The other mindset shift that we may need to make is, I would caution you guys against coming in here thinking that you'll pick up exactly where you left off. So, I mean, I know you guys have been active over the break, and even if you aren't a client of ours and you're listening to this, like, we're sure that you've done something. But I guess in that first week, I would put the emphasis on actually just showing up compared to showing up and performing just yet. So taking it a little bit easier, maybe just completing sets and reps with weights that you feel comfortable with, rather than really trying to push the boundaries. And we're going to explain why a little bit later on when we talk about recovery. But I think it's just more important to get back into that behavioural groove of just training, rather than what you're actually completing once you're here.
And on the flip side of that as well, I think a lot of people will be quite relieved or impressed, or I'm not sure the word I'm looking for, but you won't have, lost all your strength. Like, I think you'll be quite happy with some of...
Surprised.
Yeah, surprised.
Yeah. Strength is
Such
loyal.
A simple word.
We say it all the time.
Yeah, strength is loyal.
Endurance is not.
Yeah.
Endurance will leave you like a flighty girlfriend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You've had lots of experience with that, have you?
Oh, lots of girlfriends. But yeah, endurance, we notice a difference for ourselves if we don't. Strength, you find that you can bring it back pretty quickly, especially your absolute strength. So when we talk about absolute strength, we mean like your 1 rep max, like your maximal efforts. They don't tend to leave you as fast as your endurance. So maybe what you could do for 10 would be slightly different, but you'd find that your 1 rep max is close to where it was if you've still been training in some capacity, for sure.
Absolutely.
So once you guys have, I guess, wrapped your head around the mindset change and that I'm just easing my way back into it, which is the best.
Like being a parent, like when people always ask us, I love it when people get pregnant for the first time and like advice at baby showers and all that kind of thing. Like, have no expectation. I think that would be really good coming back into the gym after everything that's happened. Not being so hard on yourself. Just be kind. Just get back into it.
Yeah.
Just rock up, like Ben said.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically the conversation that we have with completely new clients is that, all we want you to focus on is just coming 3 times a week. And I mean, the time it would take for a new client to make that habit a part of their lifestyle is obviously going to be a lot different for the time it takes someone who's actually been there before. But it's still a consideration that you need to keep in mind, is that it's not just going to be as easy as, straight back to normal.
Yep.
The next consideration is going to be along the training lines, and that mindset is just, and you guys are lucky that, I guess, we take care of this for you, and that's managing your volume and intensity in the sessions. We sort of touched on intensity just then in regards to, I guess, the weight you're lifting and how hard you're working, but the volume, you guys will find when we talk about volume, it's like the amount of work that you're completing in the sessions and over the week. So clients of ours will be familiar with our training style.
Sets and reps.
Yes, sets and reps. Clients of ours will be familiar with our style of that activation into a major lift. What you'll probably notice is that the major lift, rather than 5 sets, it might be 3 or 4. So it'll just be managed that way, in that you're not doing as much as you would normally do.
Yeah.
If you aren't a client of ours, again, that might be a consideration, is that rather than doing 4 sets of 10 of an exercise, is you might do 3 sets. It's as basically as simple as that, just to make sure that you don't overdo it and walk around like a cripple for the rest of the week because you're really sore.
I was about to say that leads into our next point, which is recovery.
Mm-hmm.
If you are doing it alone and you don't have someone programming for you, you don't want to do your first session back and then ride yourself off for the rest of the week.
Basically just
be
get
smart
overexcited.
about it. And it is exciting. Like, we're very excited about what's happening, as are a lot of people. But yeah, just do be cautious of that. Rather
than aiming to have good sessions, aim to have a good week. So I'd like to train 4 times this week, rather than, I can't wait to get in there and smash it out.
Yeah.
So just have a little bit of the tortoise and the hare approach, which we know is effective basically in all realms of health and fitness. But take it a little bit easy, especially on the weighted stuff. Clients of ours in the conditioning, you can give it a little bit more of a nudge, especially if, our conditioning is typically a little bit more bodyweight exercise. So that's the stuff you can up the intensity a little bit. But definitely the weighted stuff, you probably want to be a little bit more cautious. That being said, if you do, and this will happen to everyone, the first time we do back squats, everyone will be sore. That doesn't mean that you can't train. So people often think that because a muscle is sore, you need to rest it. That's not necessarily the case. Just because you're sore in the legs after lunges certainly does not mean that you can't do another legs exercise for the rest of the week. I think that's a bit of a myth that people come to us with, is like, my upper, how long should I rest after a session? There's no real, concrete guidance that we can offer apart from take it easy, take it as you feel.
I was about to say, it kind of comes with your training age a little bit.
Yeah.
So people,
by training age, we mean how long you've spent in the gym.
Yeah. So people do become more confident in reading their own body, like their own recovery. Like, I know that's something Ben and I talk a lot about at home, because we've obviously done similar programs together before, and our recovery has been very different.
Yeah.
So I really struggle with high load, high volume.
So lots of sets and reps at a heavy weight.
Yeah. So it takes me a lot longer to recover from a session like that compared to Ben. So it's just about understanding and tweaking your program to suit you.
Just on that, that's actually quite unusual. So ladies typically are able to handle higher intensity and higher frequency, so they can work harder for longer than guys without getting the same...
There's something wrong with me.
Yeah. Without experiencing the same level of fatigue. Gents, we tend to work best off higher intensity but less of it, whereas ladies can handle a lot more, which...
That's life in general, isn't it, ladies?
Could be. It could be. But, yeah, which I was actually surprised reading that until I read it, and it made all kinds of sense, is that men are generally more explosive, but take a little bit longer to recover. So like the man flu.
Yeah, so like, and that's probably the perfect example of Ben and I. There are no rules ever. So like from reading studies, like that's what we've learnt.
Yeah.
However, I know that is not the case for me. And so I don't train that way.
Yeah, it's the same as anything. Read it, take it with a grain of salt, and
Adapt.
if it applies, it applies. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You don't need to force it to apply.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's with, I guess, nutrition as well, which is probably the big thing, is like, ladies need more carbs. That's a general assumption.
Absolutely.
You may not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't feel good, there is no need.
Yes, always take that stuff with a big grain of salt.
Absolutely.
Next consideration, and we just touched on it then. Actually, I want to discuss one more thing with recovery, and the most important factor in recovery is sleep.
Oof.
You will be extending yourself, I guess, a little bit more intensity wise. You may find that you are taking a little bit longer to recover. If you're like us, you've probably been watching a little bit more Netflix than you would normally be watching. Obviously, we now that we're into outdoor classes, our weeks look a little bit more like what they used to in regards to the early wake-ups, but you may need to go to bed a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Just prioritizing your sleep a little bit more. And it doesn't have to be drastic. Like, I was a little bit worried that because I'd been going to bed a little bit later, I'd been probably 10:30ish would be my average at the moment.
I don't know, I'm asleep before Ben and he's still watching something on his phone.
At WWE wrestling. But now that we're back into it, I'll try and get back to my normal, I guess, lights out time of 9:30 would be fairly typical for me during the week. But I'm not going to make that jump straight away, because there's nothing more frustrating than lying in bed,
not being
knowing that you need to be asleep, getting frustrated, and it just doesn't help at all. So like, I try and be lights out at 10:10 and just slowly work my way back. And I know that after working a couple of early mornings, I will be pretty much knackered anyways, so it won't be much of an effort. But just slowly making your way back to that, I guess everyone was sort of like, getting back to normal. But if that's your normal, try not to make the jump straight away. Slowly work your way back in.
Yeah, I was about to say, it depends what you have been doing. I was actually speaking, the exact same client I was talking to you about before, we were also talking about sleep. And we were saying that we both felt better. Like, we wondered why we were feeling so odd at the start of everything, was because we were getting up later. And I've kind of gone back to my normal routine, to be honest. Like, I'm up fairly early. I still go to bed fairly early.
You always went to bed early, but we were getting out of bed with a 7 in front of it, which is unheard of.
Yeah, in our house. And I do feel a lot better. So if you're someone that's kind of kept a similar routine, like, don't even think about it. Like, just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Like,
don't overthink it. If it's half an hour difference, don't worry.
I think the large majority of our clients would have definitely changed, though, just because they haven't had to commute. There's no need to be on a train at 7 a.m. or scurrying out of the gym to do a childcare, a run or anything like that. They basically wake up, eat a bowl of Wheaties and get straight to the desk. Hopefully not a bowl of Wheaties,
I
by
was
the way.
about
Maybe
to say,
something
have
with
we
a little
taught
bit,
them anything?
maybe something with a little bit more protein in it than cereal. But
Goodness me.
yeah, it's been really easy to just be a little bit lazier with that kind of thing. But don't beat yourself up about it. Just
No.
oh yeah, that was fun, and now we're back to. I mean, it's just like the buzzword of the day: normal.
Yeah.
Back to normal.
Yeah.
Moving on from sleep, nutrition. Now, I don't know about you guys. Well, I sort of do, but this is more a personal observation, is I am a lot hungrier when I'm up at 5, train clients, eat breakfast, train clients, train myself, eat lunch, work in the Arvo, train clients, eat my dinner, go to bed. Compared to, I guess, the last couple of months, my days just simply have not been as long or as active. So the nutritional considerations will be that you may need a little bit more food to match your growing output. So what that looks like, I guess, is just making slight adjustments across every meal or potentially adding a meal. So my days have sort of looked like I've been having 2 large meals and then either a smaller meal in between or a smaller meal at the start. So I guess that smaller meal might now look like a proper meal.
So 3 bigger meals.
Yeah, 3 bigger meals. I'm not a massive snacker. It depends on the person, but I think just taking a little bit of stock of what you are currently doing, and then either, so let's say an example might be, rather than a palm of protein at breakfast, I might have 2. It's just like small changes like that across the day, just to match your output, I guess, without negatively influencing performance or actually taking you away from what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah. Actually, something interesting that comes up quite a lot with clients is like, oh, I don't know why I'm so hungry. And it's like, well, yeah, if you actually look at what you've done today, so like what type of training you've done, like if you were up overnight, that's a big one for parents. So if you haven't had solid sleep, your body will want more food.
Yeah, that's a hormonal thing. That's not a myth. That's legit.
So like just trust yourself.
Yes.
Like people often say to me, oh, like why am I so hungry? I shouldn't need to eat. It's like, well, you are hungry, so eat.
Yeah, and I think
it's okay to adjust.
Yeah. Whilst the goal of a lot of people who train is to lose a little bit of weight, so naturally the mindset is one of, I think I need to restrict a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's less about overall restriction, and it's probably more about just restricting certain types of food. Yeah. So you don't need, I guess, try not to restrict things that we would classify as like good, nutritious food. And I guess with the added activity, try not to add in, rather than I would normally eat 2 slices of bread a day, now I'm going to have 4. Like, try and make that added food something of a really high quality. Yeah. So extra protein, a little bit of, extra potatoes, that kind of thing.
Don't feel bad about having a banana. Like,
yes,
please. if you need to have an extra snack and it's banana and a couple of almonds, like, you're fine, guys.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
you're already better than
great.
99% of the world, rather than reaching for a chocolate bar.
Yeah.
Or one of those oat slices at 7-Eleven.
Yeah, exactly. Stay away from the packets for your additional needs.
As a general rule, try not to eat where you fill up your car.
Yeah.
Yes. But
that is a good one, actually.
Yeah. I heard that at the CrossFit level 1, and it's stuck with me
I like
ever since.
it. I like it a lot.
Don't eat where you fill up your car is a good one. Eat at your kitchen table. But yeah, I mean, our approach is always pretty uncomplicated. Eat quality foods, and I guess if you're adding stuff in, take home message is just up what you would normally eat. Apart from that, I mean, that's sort of the guidelines to consider as you get into the gym. Everyone's different, but take it as it comes.
Yeah, and have a chat to us. If there's something that you're struggling with, or you think you will struggle with, coming back in. And we can have a chat about that.
Just on that, I think we should give a couple of minutes to this, is that your goals and like your overall where you place your health in regards to importance in your life, it may well have changed. So it's probably worth either having a chat to us or a coach or anyone or a partner. If you've reevaluated why fitness and health is important to you, that will largely dictate what you
Your
do,
behaviours,
and the actions that you should take. So let's just use an example. I mean, we use the weight loss example all the time, but it is the number one reason why people come to us in the first place. So maybe that isn't the reason you like to train anymore. Like maybe it's about your overall quality of life, vitality. That will shift the advice that we give to you.
Yep.
So if you haven't already, this is a great time to take stock, decide what's really important, and then, I think it'll give you a bit of a fresh lease of life as you enter the gym for sure.
Yeah, it's okay for goals to change.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
I think people get so
They change all the time.
they're so headstrong on certain things that they don't need to be.
There's a bit of a balancing act though, because sometimes it's important to see stuff through, and you don't want to be chopping and changing all the time. But I guess that's why it's important to bounce it off someone else.
Yeah.
Like if we feel that you're the kind of person who maybe chops and changes a bit too much and we never quite actually get anywhere because we're going around in circles, like we're here to help you guys with that.
Yep.
And to try and bridge the gap and I guess guide you on a path where, you can achieve the things that you want to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's us from us today, guys. A little bit of a shorter one.
Yeah, can't wait to see you back in the gym.
We're both looking out the window into the pram to see if there's any movement, but it looks like she's still asleep, so all good. If you've got any questions, guys, especially our clients or anyone actually, I don't mind, we love it, so send them on through. No doubt we'll be chatting to you all before we open our doors. Not no doubt, that is actually the plan, so we will be chatting to you all before we open our doors, so make sure that we can hit June 22 with a head of steam.
Yeah, exciting, guys.
All right, we'll speak to you soon. See you next week.
soon.